of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Song prayer, please. Amen. It is the 20th of May, Tuesday evening, 5:30. We're down at Bath Municipal Center. Can I have a roll call, please?
Yes, Scott Murphy.
Here.
Susan Webster's here. Elizabeth Skinner. Here. Mary Lynn Hickey. Here. Rebecca McLeod. Here. Greg Sheen.
Here.
And David O'Connell.
Here.
All right.
Can we have a review of the minutes from the council meeting from May 6th?
I think we have one typo in there that Rebecca just brought up that we'll take care of.
And it's a plan, not a project.
A plan. Okay.
All right, I will take a common consent. Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
All right, moving right along. Questions before council, we don't have anybody. Communications from mayor, we got in your packet, let's see, that, I guess, somebody wants to do a geocat.
Oh, shit.
Of city on city property, and I think he's here to represent this. So I will ask him to come forward because it is on the agenda under the communications of mayor. So you can kind of explain to council what it is and go from there.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Thanks to the folks that came last night, by the way. I appreciate you all very much. Geocaches. Does anybody not know what a geocache is, or does anybody know what a geocache is?
I have a fair idea.
Okay.
Look at the demographic of this council. Just explain it.
I have found them in the park report.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I brought one with me. You're not supposed to do this. Just FYI, I'm not supposed to take this, but I brought it with me. It's from Panorama Overlook. This is a very informal geocache, okay? Geocaching is the largest treasure hunt in the world. It's been going on since 2001. There's 3 million geocaches across the United States, or across the world, and there are now some in space as well. Yeah, I know, crazy. So essentially what they are is just these little caches. They can be small like this. They can be as large as a briefcase. What I would like to hide around town would be small like this. So that's why I brought this as an example. On the inside, you can have little trinkets that people might leave in the cache. And additionally, you'll have these little logbooks. And then when people find it, they sign their name with the date that they found it. It's a pretty cool little recreational activity. There's over 3 million, like I said, around the world, and a lot of people are participating in this. Travel Berkeley Springs would like permission, and you must have written permission to have an official geocache, to hide these on city property. What that would allow us to do is tell a little bit of the story of the town of Bath, talk a little bit about different things that happen in significant locations, why certain buildings are significant, why certain cemeteries are significant, different projects that the community has done over the course of time. They all have to be spread, I believe it's 40 meters apart, so they won't be right on top of each other. They will be hidden, and I will make a log of every single cache along with pictures of it that the city can keep on file. In case they're ever doing any work in the areas, they're able to say, hey, this geocache is located here. You know, we'll take it offline for a period of time and then return it. The way that they are found is through a digital database. So there's an app on you can download it. It's called Geocaching. And then it gives you the location of all of these with GPS coordinates. Now they're hidden in some way. Some of them have a little hook and they're hanging from a tree limb, camouflage instead of it being gray. Some of them are underneath a rock. Some of them are magnetic and they're stuck underneath a sign of some sort. So this one was inside of a guardrail at Panorama Overlook. Essentially, we want to use this as an opportunity to not just put the little log in here, but also put some information about the location that it's hidden. That way folks can use it as a way to learn a little bit more about the community without the cost of building signs. Long-term goal would obviously to have as much interpretive signage as possible. But this allows folks that are maybe staying Capon or staying over the mountain somewhere to take on to the geocaching trail. My entire goal is to have it across the entire county. And then bring their way into the town of Bath, learn about the history, be able to support the local businesses here. So it's just a small piece of the overall wayfinding mission that TPS is trying to put in place.
Will you all be the administrators of this program?
Yes, absolutely. So geocaching requires that they are maintained.
Yeah.
So we will make an account, we will maintain them, and I'm going to have that codified with Travel Berkeley Springs as well. So if I'm not always here, somebody else will be inheriting these to maintain. If for some reason they're not maintained, it's kind of like a self cleanup project. So folks that are out looking for the geocaches will say, hey, this one needs maintained. And if not enough people, if too many people say that, then geocache will remove it from the site.
Okay.
Yeah.
So will we be able to review a map before you, so that we can say each one
Absolutely.
is okay in case, and you're not gonna put them where people have to dig or,
I will not put them under any soil.
or where people might have to mow on a regular basis to keep them
Correct.
safe
Yeah.
and the lower safe.
Yep, and geocache itself, like the national organization, has parameters in place to prevent that thing from happening, right? We're not allowed to hide them in spots like that. They can't be, I think, below 3 inches below the ground, right? So if you have a rock on top of it, some leaves decompose over time, maybe a little bit below ground. But, it can't be in any permissible right of way where there's mowing occurring. If it's on any public property, you must have written consent from
Right.
whatever
I
government
just like
organization.
to make sure that where they
Absolutely.
do plan.
Yeah.
What does maintaining mean?
So this logbook, I should give you a good example.
That logbook looked pretty long.
So you'll see, yeah, exactly. That was the one in the middle. And then on the outside, it says new log. And this one's empty. So making sure that your logs are up to date. And then for the ones that I would like to put, so this one's a pretty basic one. You see, it's just a plastic bottle, essentially. Geocache makes official products that are labeled as official geocaches. They're camouflaged into, maybe they look like stones. Maybe they're just camo colored.
Ammo box,
Camo box, yeah.
ammo, not camo, ammo.
Ammo, they do make ammo boxes too that are camouflaged too. So those are the bigger ones. And some of them are even smaller than this. But they will say official geocache, do not throw away. And then it'll have like a website to understand what geocaching is about. That way somebody's like, oh, what is this? Oh, this is what it is. So I plan on spending the money through TBS to ensure that all of them are labeled correctly as well.
Okay. So we're not spending any money, we're just giving permission.
Just give them permission.
And you were specifically asking for permission for potential sightings on town-owned property.
On city-owned property,
Yep.
right, as TBS, I don't find it easy to just go to every single individual landowner in town and say,
Yeah.
hey, can I hide one on your property, have one on your property?
It's not public property,
Well, I just thought it would be easier if I put it on city property adjacent to anywhere that any point of interest that I'm talking about and still talking about the point of interest.
I have a really cool idea for one on private property,
Okay,
but I'll discuss it with you privately.
sounds good. So that is what I
Hey, council, what's everybody think?
Well, do you have open for comment by any chance?
Yeah.
So I've been doing geocaching for like 20 years. And I think it's a great thing for people to get outdoors, gives them something to look forward to. But some of the things you gotta watch out for, okay? People will be searching for these things, not knowing where they're at.
Right.
And they will go all over trying to find them. Now, they do have the GPSs, which on our phones are pretty good now, right? So it's a lot better than years ago. But something to be wary of is that people may be up by the town, might be outside the town council here looking for it. And, it's good that he's going to, give you guys an idea where they're at, but, individuals can also put out geocaches too. It doesn't have to, normally I could put out geocaches. Okay, so, in fact, there are some up on the Capon that I've actually found up on, in the park, in the state park up on the ridge. So, just something to be mindful of is that you're gonna have people, which is great, coming back, Bath and coming to Berkeley Springs. So look for these things, but you might want to also engage your law enforcement. So, that they understand this because that could cause some problems.
Right.
And because the people don't know. Yeah, the people don't know. They're just looking around, and it's wonderful. And a lot of times they'll bring their kids. and stuff. But it's a very, not, there's hardly any nefarious stuff going on. Very innocent, but just be aware of that, and I think it's gotta be communicated well, amongst, the town council, so people know that when people come to town. They're probably
They'll
looking
be
for,
poking around.
they're gonna be poking around, just because they just don't know.
Right,
Yeah.
but presumably on public property, that behavior would not be,
Right.
a problem.
Probably not, but but they're not gonna be limited to
Yeah.
public property. Like I
Yeah.
said, there are private geocaches too.
Right.
And again, I'm sure they're not keeping an idea or keeping a line on, okay, here's the line for public property. You've seen all the YouTubes,
Oh,
where,
sure.
where all of a sudden the police are called and, where is public, where is private and all this kind of stuff. So as long as we keep this in mind, like I said, I think it's a great program, but there are possibly some pitfalls to be aware of, so.
Thank you.
All right.
And my only comment is just reiterate what Rebecca had mentioned, as long as you provide that manifest, let's just call it, get it to Rebecca. She okays each one of those or make some changes
I
then.
wouldn't
And
mind
at
seeing
that
it
point,
too.
we would approve it and
Yeah.
have it in place.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do we want to see that before we approve something?
I would like to see it.
Yeah, I think the whole council needs to see your proposed sites.
I think we're probably,
We may have suggestions.
yeah,
Yeah.
and we're probably in favor of it. I think
Yes,
that's
we agree.
so that you could proceed with.
You can put that in your hip
Absolutely.
pocket today, but
Yeah.
procedurally, let's see the list and then there'll be a formal vote.
I appreciate it. And part of the reason I brought it to council today is because the first week of June, I'm meeting with a gentleman named Mark Webb. He's hosting the International Geo Woodstock, which is the 12th year of Geocaching's international meeting. People from 53 countries are coming and it's being held in Morgantown. It's the first ever Giga event in Morgantown. There's enough countries coming. But it is, I'm meeting with him. He's the developer that presented that and bring it to West Virginia, about creating a trail in Morgan County. We want the town of Bath probably be the most instrumental part of that.
How many would it be?
Okay,
Is there a limit or no limit or?
There's no limit. They just have to maintain a certain distance apart from each other.
yeah. What did you say the distance was?
I believe it's 40 meters.
Okay. All right, yeah, I mean, yeah, informal approval today, bring us the list of what you're thinking about. Give us a chance to actually give you some ideas and then,
Sounds good. Thank you guys.
you have.
All right, we're gonna move on. Farmers markets on Sundays. Everybody, if you can support them, that would be great. And then bringing in May, looked like that place is busy down there, other than the wind decided to take a few tents and everything, but it looked like it, every time I went by there, that place was packed, so.
I think something we talked about in finance as far as the bringing in the May, we'd like to have it a little more specific as to their needs of the street, taking away that amount of parking from a Friday evening through a Sunday evening may be a bit much, and maybe they don't need that much. If we notice that not as many spaces were needed, then we
I
get.
didn't see as many food.
Yes, I
One
there were
food
only
truck
two.
to the snow cone lady, that's all I saw.
Yeah,
So,
So-
but they asked for that whole street to.
That could have been weather.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, who
Yeah.
knows? So,
I do want to give Bibi and her crew a shout out because that event is in year 4. And they, every year it gets progressively bigger, they're more organized. And it's just a lot of fun and it brings a whole different group of people here to have that experience, including the maypole and lots of cool
Lots of
things.
children.
Yes, a good
Yeah.
family event.
okay, good. Now let's move on down to our on track. Do we have anything tonight for on track?
Meeting this week.
they're meeting
Yeah,
Thursday.
Thursday. Okay, all right.
Staff
Staff
development.
development.
I don't believe that, well, I know that
Whittington.
finance hasn't figured out, what to do with the cash that is in the staff development account, but it's just sitting there, it's not going anywhere.
Go back to the town.
Yeah,
And
it
he's
can go
supposed to
back
be
Yeah.
resurrected.
and then redirected, but we have to talk about that soon.
Okay,
Yeah, so
All
probably,
right.
probably before July 1.
what are you trying to say?
Then I'll put it on the next finance committee agenda.
Okay,
That's what
we'll
I'm
take care of it. All right, Parks and Recs. Here tonight. Planning Commission, Larry is out of the country. He went back, didn't he?
He's in Italy.
Got to see him for a few minutes the other night. He was whisked away again. So, Rails and Trails,
Nothing.
Streetscapes.
We have our final inspection tomorrow at 1 p.m. with DOH for Streetscape Phase 5. I don't have a location, but it's not hard to find.
Yeah.
Wilkes and Independence.
Yeah.
So if you're interested, and we would enjoy having anybody there to walk and look at it, it's gonna be raining, which is good, because we'll get to see if the water is going in the right direction.
Right.
And any other issues.
And that's Saturday.
No, it's tomorrow at 1 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah, I got the word from Pete, who is in France.
I was gonna say, I gotta see.
He's so not coming.
Texting me. Please let everybody know.
Okay, all right, Train Depot.
Depot, we had a problem in the past couple of weeks with sewer at the depot. I'm very happy to say that it has been corrected. It was an unusual situation. I'll explain it to you sometime, but it has been corrected. The depot committee does believe that the expense of this should be on the depot and the town. It's something that we're all unaware of. Believe me, it was a surprise to me as much as anybody else. But it's all cleared up and everything flushes and everybody seems to be smiling and like that. So
That's all that counts. Everybody's
that's what
smiling.
Everybody's smiling. So
Good deal.
that's all for Depot right now.
All right, thanks, Susan.
Mhm.
Landmarks Commission. Clerk and Recorder's Report, Madam Clerk.
Just an update, we're still working towards the election on June the 10th. We do have training on the 22nd for the poll workers. It's from 10 o'clock, usually runs about an hour and a half. And then we'll just keep moving forward.
Great.
Okay.
Oh, and early voting. We have early voting.
May the 31st. It
Correct.
starts May the 31st through June the 6th.
Yeah,
Or
seven.
seven.
It's the 7th.
Saturday through Saturday.
Yeah, it's the 6th. No, it's the 6th. We give 1 week. And
She's
we're-
gonna work both Saturdays.
Yeah, it's both Saturdays, because usually I do one Saturday, I'll come in early,
Okay,
and then the other Saturday I'll be here later in the afternoon, so that it allows people to vote.
okay,
Right.
okay,
Work.
through the 7th. Okay, then. Yeah, 1 week.
Yeah, we
One
have it on the
week.
calendar.
We're not doing a month.
Good
We
deal.
don't have a season. We don't like it. So anyway.
All right,
Let's
let's
move
move
on.
on to Recorder's Report then.
We've got a couple of property use requests also, there was no building improvement.
Right, no building improvement. We did have a couple of property requests. One was for, it was formerly known as Small Business Saturday. I'm going to speak to the person who, submitted this request and talk to them about their request and the location of where they want to set up. Is right on the sidewalk, and we think that that's probably not the best place to block a sidewalk. Another request we had was picnic in the park on June the 21st, and this is Scott Collinash, and it's always been a great event, and we did approve that. So
We will, we will remove the bags once the trucks get in there.
yeah,
We like taking them away, you get to the park, so.
well, you want to get as much.
Yeah, I think we have I have 3 trucks right now. Matter of fact, the same 3 that was at, maybe at, bringing in May,
Yeah,
and maybe one more, but then we would take the bags off. I didn't know why they didn't do that either, because there was empty parking places there, and there's people trying to find places to park,
Right.
so we would take those off,
Yeah,
It's just easy to pull in without cars there first and then.
sure, they've gotta be able to get in. So anyway, we approved that. It's always a nice day, so good luck to you. I know it takes a lot to put these events together, so good luck. I know
Good,
it's- Yeah.
Hope it's not 100 degrees.
Yeah. Right.
Absolutely.
Still huge.
Okay, is that it? Let's move on to finance then.
We do have a budget revision here before us. I know we had one last week also, but this is another, increase to the budget. We have $1,000 increase on the excise tax on utilities, refuge collection, $2,000, $3,000 on contributions or transfers from other entities, and contributions from other funds, $9,700. This money is moved from a reserve account for a total of $13,000 increase in the budget. And as you know, this is something that does need an approval by the state auditor's office, and because of that, we have to pass a resolution approving this budget revision. And what we have before us is resolution 2025-05-02. And this is a resolution approving the increase in expenditures that I just described. These moves do have to be, we have to do this before the money is spent. So I make a motion that we pass resolution 2025-05-02.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second on the floor to pass resolution 2025-05-02. All right, any discussion?
I just want to add, this is a revenue increase to the budget.
Any more discussion? If not, I'll call the question. All those, I got to do it one at a time. All right, myself, yes. Susan,
Yes.
Elizabeth,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Rebecca,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Dave.
Yes.
Okay. That motion carries. Okay.
Then we do have a few bills here to pay. Budget revision. All right, I make a motion that we pay the town of Bath bills in the amount of $28,614.21.
Second.
I got a motion, a second on the floor to pay the town of Bath bills in the amount of $28,614.21. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Make a motion that we pay the Berkeley Springs Water Works bills in the amount of $48,756.53.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the floor to pay the Berkeley Springs water bills in the amount of $48,756.53. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Make a motion that we pay the hotel motel distribution in the amount of $65.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the floor to pay the hotel motel distribution in the amount of $65. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Okay. Anything else for finance?
No, that's
Okay. All right, let's move on down to tree board.
Since the tree board last reported to council, we have learned that the West Virginia Division of Urban Forestry now has the funds to pay expenses already incurred and to pay for those that we have yet to do.
Mike Merchant has had to withdraw from the contract. So we sought an estimate to complete the work that's not finished. And Finance Committee approved the estimate submitted by Truax Tree Service. Today, tree board members raised the crown of trees on Wilkes and Mercer Streets. We also weeded under trees on those streets and stirred up the existing mulch. The tree board meets tomorrow, May 21st at 5 o'clock.
Any questions for Kate? All right, well, let's move on to Grant. Thanks, Kate.
Thanks, Scott. So update on grants, the $1 million I asked Senator Capito for water utility infrastructure has been submitted. I don't expect to hear until early summer, and I'm hoping that we will have some window of eligibility, not that is complementary to the final receipt of the professional engineering report that is in process and which every grantor is asking me for. Also have another grant for the water utility. I'm working on this with Region 9, who's working with a private grant writer. GIS mapping, it's going to cost $80,555. The grant is $60,416. The town's match is $20,139. They will be submitting the full application on behalf of the town of Bath and 2 other municipalities in West Virginia in July. We will not know and have money to spend until a year later. So hurry up and wait. We'll get that in. And then Dusty, did you apply for your 24,000 REI money yet?
I'm waiting for one more proposal from a contractor in order to be able to apply, but
Okay, because I'm doing it too.
all
Why
right,
not?
more the merrier.
Yes, and the great thing about this, which Dusty actually made us aware of, they have to spend all their money by October. So trying to fashion a grant application that is appealing and fundable. And I think that's it for today. Thank you.
Okay. All right, move down to public safety. At our meeting last week, we had various things in activity. We're waiting on grant hopefully to come through for the computers for the police department. We discussed various other things, looked at the new design of the business license that'll be going out for July 1st for a new business license. So anyway, anything else, Craig?
No,
Okay.
covers that meeting.
All right, Chief, you have anything?
No, sir.
Okay. So anyway, we're still working on trying to find other police officers to join our ranks. So if you know of anybody that's interested, send them our way. All right, move on to cemetery.
I'd like to start my report first by thanking 2 people. I'd like to thank Kate Lehman and Tree Board, who have worked very conscientiously to deal with the trees in the old section of the cemetery, which are a genuine threat to the headstones and the markers that are there. So we appreciate the work that they're doing to keep those trees as healthy and taken care of as possible so that there's no chance of damage, hopefully, to the headstones. I'd also like to, even though the cemetery committee is not responsible for mowing in the cemetery, and let Rebecca do that, I would like to thank Dave, who is not only on the cemetery committee, but Public Works, for stepping up to the plate and supervising the young people that are now working in Greenway Cemetery. I just want to thank you publicly, Dave, for your hard work, putting a lot of hours every day to making sure that the work gets done and the kids understand what they're doing. And it's so I'd like to thank you, and I'll let Rebecca say anything else she wants to say about that. And as far as the cemetery committee, we are working, we have reinvigorated the Town of Bath Cemetery Corporation, and we are spending a lot of time developing the areas of responsibility for the cemetery committee versus the corporation. The next corporation meeting is on Thursday at 1. And the next cemetery committee meeting is next week on Tuesday at 9 a.m. So we have a lot of tasks on our agenda and things. We're going to be bringing a lot of things to you over the next couple of months. So that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Public Works.
The crew has been helping out in the cemetery trying to catch up. We've had quite a bit of rain, and so the grass grows when it rains. But we're nearly there. It's gonna look pretty good by Memorial Day, hopefully before Memorial Day, if the rain holds off again, which we're expecting tomorrow. So that's kind of throwing a monkey wrench in there. We are in a learning mode. It's been a little bit of a challenge working with young people. They've done an exemplary job of being able to do adequate training to help them and being there for them while they're working, as well as leading by example. And we're hoping things get smoothed out a little bit more as time goes on. We've got some good young people working for us. And once school's out, we'll be able to transition to a more regular schedule. We've been accommodating student athletes, which is, we thought was pretty important. And this is, I think this is a real win for the town. We're being financially responsible. We'll be spending less money than we have in the past. And we're offering a first-time job for some people that will help get them started in life and give them some confidence to be able to show up on the job.
Basic job skills.
Work hard. The other thing I've been, we've been working on in the cemetery today, we were able to tackle the part of the remaining activities at the mausoleum that need to be done, finish that project up. We cleaned off the top of the box and have it graded really nicely now, so it's going to flow away. We used the material that came off of that to patch some of the ruts up on the top. The public works crew did that, as we hired a contractor to clean off the top because we didn't have the equipment to do it. Put it in our truck and then trucked it up there and used the skid steer to track it in. We do have some good material now that we can use when people need it for services. So unfortunately, they didn't get to the straw on top, so we're going to keep an eye on it. Hopefully, we don't have too much runoff. We're going to be planting shrubs there as much as we can. It's just a lot shallower than it was because we want the water draining away from the front of the structure. Right. So that's all much improved. I attended the FEMA floodplain kickoff meeting. Well, it's not the kickoff meeting, but the information that FEMA is putting together for an update of our floodplain maps. That was a Zoom call with the county, FEMA administrators, their contractors, state, West Virginia floodplain manager, the counties, some of the county commission. They've redone the maps. In some cases, they've reduced the size of the floodplain. In other cases, it's a little more altered. They're going off of LiDAR, a LiDAR flight from 2012. So it's very outdated. We pointed out that there had been a major disruption in the upper watershed, 10% of the that area, which is just upstream from the town, and they did not take that into account. And it surprised them. So what they suggested is that they'll give us what they have at this point, but they could refly just our watershed. The rest of the counties pretty much stayed the same, but there's been so many changes upstream, a significant amount of impervious area added, redirection of the sub-watersheds, time of concentration is all changed. So I let them know that we're working on the plan with NRCS. So we'll be doing an analysis with our contractor again at Fleming soon and taking that stuff into account. So it's all happening pretty much together. And hopefully it'll mean reduction perhaps in cost of flood insurance, which is very expensive. We
Yes.
do have a number of structures within the town that are what they call not repeat offenders, but repeat users of FEMA funds because of repeated disasters and flooding.
On the other hand, there are other locations that are within this floodplain that I have personal knowledge of that haven't flooded since I've been there in 1978. So sometimes I wonder,
They've got actual cross sections, and then they've got a much better modeling for interpolation. But for instance, on Congress Street, before all of our work on the streets and project work, it showed the 100-year going up almost to Priscilla's house.
Wow.
But it's been reduced. The new one, without taking into consideration the changes, showed a reduction of that.
Okay.
But they also have looked at culverts and other obstructions. And since they're doing that level of work, once we provide them with a better analysis, we should get some really good maps.
I hope so.
But we can't accept the ones that I looked at. Okay. All right.
Okay.
I mean, I don't have the maps. It was on the Zoom. They showed a couple of locations.
All right.
If I can add to Rebecca's earlier points about seasonal workers, I want to express my gratitude towards the full-time staff of Public Works. It's very disruptive to do what we're doing. We're basically shifting from cemetery to Public Works. And we haven't changed the staffing other than get a bunch of teenagers, and now how do you handle them? So from a full-time staff point of view, this is very disruptive. They have, they could do the additional work, but cutting the cemetery was now additional work. So a lot was being loaded onto them, not just to be able to do the work at the cemetery, but then have the patience to deal with onboarding, bringing on, basically teenagers. And that was going to be in its own disruptive. The staff of Public Works has been wonderful and very supportive, and being actually right now, one of the staff is up there right now making sure that we have an adult in the cemetery. So that's been one of my ongoing themes, is I didn't want to leave teenagers off on their own. I've had struggled with that, but now we pretty much have it fully covered. And the last piece to be put in place was somebody from Public Works stepping up and basically saying they'll cover from 3:30 to 5:30. So all our hours are going to be covered to make sure that there's appropriate supervision.
We've been good about a flexible work schedule, so we aren't doing any more overtime. We're just adjusting hours for this time till school is out, and then it should go a little smoother. Yeah, it's a learning curve. We had been using a private contractor before, and we kind of just let it go. But I think we're seeing a cost savings. Plus, we have some new equipment, and even with that, it's a savings.
The progress has been with fits and starts. There's only 3 weeks, but
Nature
just,
Yep.
but just as of
Whatever.
today, we have the old cemetery redone at least once. We know what it takes time-wise to do it. And we also almost have the new cemetery cut for the first time. So I know that we were late in some of these areas, but absolutely we're going to be ready for Memorial Day.
It's better for the grass to grow if you let it grow a little longer.
Good. Good.
Is there any update on the street light bulbs?
No, I did talk to one of the merchants to let them know and see if they had any concerns about it. They didn't, so we're gonna move forward. Just trying to catch up.
All right. Let's move on to ordinance.
Ordinance. As we come to the end of the term, I wanted to take a moment and kind of reflect back on, how far and how fast we went in some of the initiatives and some of the burden that were placed upon the local businesses. And I've been circling back to some of the some of the business owners one-on-one now that we've had some successes and they can see the increase in revenue, what their expectations are, moving forward. And the conversations are interesting and a lot of it does, again, it's concentrated in the historic business district. Beautification is a big thing. I'm a firm believer in it. The business owners are, Travel Berkeley Springs is as well, and doing some research into some other municipalities and finding that commissions for beautification and appearance are being created, which is kind of interesting. It brings together a town mayor, your travel partners, your chamber partners, and some of the business folks in town to collaborate on some of these ideas. So we're going to research that, but we're going to spend a little bit more time talking to the business owners and just to make sure that we're making really prudent decisions that are going to help go from a sustainable economy to a thriving economy for our business owners.
This is commission for beautification
And appearance.
appearance.
Yeah, so these are starting to pop up in different municipalities. It really is collaborative. Cost is collaborative on the folks that you're bringing together, and they're really able to move the needle pretty quickly.
It would be a great idea if they could hire a landscaper.
Oh, that's a great, right, there's another thought right there. Yeah. Oh, the meeting is this Thursday at 3 p.m. prior to the contract meeting. We'll finish up with the ordinance and we'll go right over to the contract.
Okay,
I forgot to mention about Public Works, we have to change our meeting
okay.
because the meeting is scheduled for Election Day. So we'll be meeting the following Tuesday. at
Now
8:30 a.m.
Now that you bring it up, we're doing that too. Don't want to get in the middle of the election. Our normal meeting day would be June 9th, but we are moving it to June 16th.
Is that for grants you're talking about?
That's for grants.
Okay. All right, Waterworks.
First off, since we're talking about meeting schedule changes, we have changed our language so that instead of tomorrow being where we're having a Waterworks meeting and basically all I can talk about is what we're about to talk about, we're shifting it so that it's in the every other week. So the second and fourth week. And our next meeting is 5/28, that's Wednesday. That will allow us to have, basically, I'll be able to speak at the next council meeting on what happened in the previous week, instead of having 2 people news.
That works.
So what I do have to talk about today is a license renewal agreement. This is a 25-year agreement with the state park. It allows us to draw water so that basically we can run our operation and service the community. This agreement is pretty much exactly what it was before, so there really is no changes. So pretty much an easy decision with the state park. So I'm making the nomination that the motion that we renew the license agreement between the state park of West Virginia, Natural Resources, and the town of Bath, Berkeley Springs Waterworks.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the floor for a agreement between the state of West Virginia and the town of Bath for our waterworks department for the equipment that's in the park. Any discussion?
No, so their lease term is 25 years, just
Yeah,
That
confirming
is
that,
correct.
and that is the standing lease term.
And there is no cost involved.
Okay, any more discussion? All right, I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that will be taken care of. Okay. We come to the point in the meeting unless you have something else, Dave, you good?
No.
Okay, we come to the point in the
Do you have a
meeting.
new business? Can I make that?
I'm going to here in a second.
Gotcha.
Since there's nothing else that council members have to bring up, I will open the floor. You have 3 minutes to talk to council. There you go.
Hello, my name is Booker May, and I'm a resident up near Great Cape Hunt. And I just want to put a recommendation for your consideration. Speaking of the waterworks area there, we got a lot of folks, citizens, people in the community that do use the waterworks. I mean, we got the best water basically in the nation, right? And they like to use it. Unfortunately, I'm personally a disabled veteran, getting a little up there in age. I like to use it. Occasionally, my water guy is not as reliable as I'd like. I basically have a cistern, but he's running no fill. But I do like coming down and get some water, so I bring my jugs. And when they're empty, it's pretty easy to bring them over there, fill them up with everybody else, you know. Get a little exercise. For when I'm heading back, it's a little bit tougher with carrying those jugs back for me. And I just, my recommendation or something for you to consider would be the possibility of right up there in front where I think Scott was talking, where some of the vendors come in and park and everything, but maybe right there in front. I think there's enough room as the possibility of putting a loading zone for the folks. They can take their jugs down, fill them up, then come and get their car wherever it's parked. Sometimes it's just so busy. I usually try to use the meters, but occasionally the meters are all full. And then I gotta try to tote all that back up. That's why I'm sort of moving away from the 5-gallon jugs, because I can't do that anymore. So if they put a loading, like a 10-minute loading zone there, I think that'd be more than enough for people to bring their water jugs, load them in their car, and be on their way. And if somebody has to only wait 10 minutes for somebody to move out, somebody else to come in, you know, I think that's fair, you know, something like that. As it is now, it's a little dicey. You get tickets involved, and, you know, it can get expensive to get water, you know, type of a thing. So that's the only thing I'm here for is the possibility maybe the lining could be different. You could make a little section in there to put in for loading only. And so for those folks that really enjoy, you know, going down and getting some fantastic water, helping them out, really. I think, you know, there's a lot of people who might not have the wherewithal, you know, might not have the accessibility all the time. It would really help them out. So that's all I have. I appreciate Town of Bath's consideration.
Chief, any feedback on that, Chief?
Well, the biggest problem with that is one, maintaining a 10-minute thing, because nobody's there timing, first thing.
Yeah.
The second thing is we got commercial trucks in and out there all the time, where to keep the room to get in and out.
Yeah, I think there might be space. They got quite a bit of space, and I consider that. I looked at it pretty close.
It'd be like
I
the
mean,
last meter.
Yeah, the last meter, you know, type of a deal.
But the only thing you can do is do that is sacrifice your last parking meter for loading.
Yeah.
But then again, you're gonna have 10 minutes.
But I think the 10-minute is probably pretty easy. I mean, you know, you can tell, or maybe make it 5 minutes. I don't think 5 minutes. I'm giving people a grace period. I think if you got all your water, and you know it's a loading zone, you know,
I think
in and out in 5 minutes, and then on their way.
I think we should
I
take
think
it
we're
under
on consideration.
for the
I think
water.
we'll take that under consideration, talk about it in the public.
The only thing I would be favorable is sacrificing a parking spot. I wouldn't infringe on the truck loading.
No.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
I just don't want to cut into revenue.
Well, we don't get anything from the trucks. It's the state part
Right.
that deals with them, not us,
The parking
unfortunately.
meter is where we would lose revenue.
Well, we could
just
always
the-
move that parking meter to another location.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we have other spots that we could meter up.
Yeah.
We know this.
Probably one of your
Let's take
biggest-
a look into it, and take it under consideration.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, beyond that, I appreciate
I'll
what
keep
you
you
folks do
around
and
and
Chief
go
and
from there.
everything.
One of the things we could do is there's other options we discuss, if I can be privy to the conversation on doing that.
Well, I figured public safety and
Yeah.
ordinance
We can
involved.
make out a
in
no
it,
trade.
try to do the ordinance.
Mhm.
Just
Yeah.
leave the meter, make it no ticket thing.
I think most
Something like
people
that.
would be happy to put a quarter in to sit there as long as
Right.
they weren't gonna get a 30, 16, whatever
But
ticket.
then, you know, people's gonna park there.
People gonna park there anyway.
Anyway, they're gonna
Yeah,
steal it.
they're gonna-
You know what I thought you were gonna ask us for?
What was that?
I thought you were gonna say, would you put some wagons over by spring so that we can just walk up the ramp and get back to our car, like a shopping cart in a grocery store.
It'd be a great idea, but I think our wagons would disappear.
Yeah, overnight.
I think the supermarket has sort of found that out with shopping carts,
Yep.
unfortunately.
Yep.
So just maybe a little compromise there.
All
That'd be
right,
great.
well, we'll take it under advisement.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else that wants to?
I just have a question, because of driving through town here recently, that crosswalk, did anybody ever figure out who's supposed to paint the lawns there by the park?
Nope.
The one on
State said
522.
Yeah.
They've told
The
us
state
that,
said absolutely not.
well, there's a state law. There's actually, because I looked it up, that says that we or anybody cannot paint anything on a state maintained road, which is one
So the
of
state
them.
would have to do it.
Yes,
And they'd have to
So-
agree to do it.
In the state.
and they
Yes.
refuse to
They
agree.
refuse
What
to
if,
do it.
can we pass out a petition maybe, get people to sign it in the town
We can
and
ask them.
submit that to them? Because if they pull out of games, being
Basically,
upset about it, they might.
we talked about that with the,
It never hurts.
it doesn't hurt when you can try it, but they basically said that absolutely not.
All weekend long at the Country Inn, you know
Yep.
as well as I, there are guests that line up right on that
Right
corner, because there's a
Absolutely.
sign, there's a
Yep.
sign that says.
It says stop for pedestrians in the crosswalk.
Right. and there's
But
no
there's
crosswalk.
no
But there is no crosswalk.
It should remove.
Maybe what we could do is, if we can't paint the lawns, maybe we'll get a flashing sign. That
That's a
lights
good
up when
idea.
people, because that way, they see the flashing sign, they see people standing there, they just think automatically
We can
stop.
install that on our sidewalk. That's a
Yeah.
good idea.
Because that might
That
be,
might take care of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
cause I don't
Or at
want to see
least
somebody
it
get
would
hit there. I know, I sat there and
Well,
I
it's
pretty much
people
like
park too.
Right.
people all the time, they're there.
What the state wants you to do is walk up the block to control.
Right.
Yep,
uh,
and use
control
control symbol,
crossing.
noise or.
They want a light control, so maybe a flashing sign might be something. I don't know if the
It
state
wouldn't-
would do it. I don't know.
Well, they might not. I mean, we'd have to look into the costs and everything, but
I
that
think
might,
it'd be a
that
good
would be at least a safety,
Yeah, 'cause I'm worried about people getting hit there, 'cause like you said, everybody crosses right there. you know?
Yeah.
oh,
It's
yeah.
like
there's a
that
lot of
this
parking
weekend.
Right there, and
You
then go
know.
to the park, and especially when the concerts are going on.
No.
Oh, I like
And
that.
people, I hate to say it, but people in this town, they drive like idiots. Like I just moved to
State
downtown and
don't
I
take their
couldn't pull out. I'm
responsibility
like,
for stuff is the
I
problem.
just, well, I'm like, there's no way I did 25. Like, hold on.
Okay, next.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, hi there. I've been living here a few years now and I keep flying out to go somewhere like many people here and fly back. And every time I come back, I'm thinking, oh, the bypass is probably going to be working. And then I realize it's been sitting there now for quite a long time. And I'm just curious. My wife is always on the internet and she looks up things about this town. I don't do that. And since I'm here with you guys, I thought maybe I could ask you, is there a date when that bypass is going to
You
be?
need to call the state.
Yep, they are
State
currently
is
working on it.
holding, they're holding things up because of some guardrail repairs that needed to be done.
And they
signs.
have
And
been
signs and
there
stuff.
continually for at least a week, maybe 2 weeks, working on that guardrail.
Yes.
Apparently, there's something wrong.
And it's still.
Right.
So
But
it's,
you'd have to call the state. It's completely out of our control.
So they don't let you know.
They will not let us know.
What you
They-
want, what you want
When
to do
they
is look,
open it up,
We'll know.
yeah, when we start seeing the trucks come down by Ruway's, we'll know.
Yeah.
what you want to do is look at the governor's schedule. And when he has time to come and do the ribbon cutting, it'll be open.
That's
Right.
approximately, you're probably right, absolutely.
Where does it end when it goes by? It starts at Sheets and
It's
it
gonna
goes.
come out there right past water treatment plant.
And so-
They've already got the trees cut.
Sewer tree.
Or the sewer treatment plant, sorry, thank you.
And then it ends up, it goes through, does it ever go through does it ever go through town?
No.
No.
Completely
That's
right.
the point.
It's gonna go right on around, and come back down in right there, right past where the sewer treatment plant is going towards.
Oh, way
Hancock.
up there.
that
Gotcha.
won't be until 2027.
Right. Although, Peter, they did tell us at the, DOH was at a chamber meeting, this is probably a couple months ago, and he was talking about that opening. The DOH guy who was presenting said it was gonna open, like within the month, the phase one. And they were just waiting for some signs that blew away, including signs that tell trucks it's not a good idea to take this road because you're only gonna get halfway there and then you're gonna try and make a left on one of those streets that you should not. So clearly those aspirational deadlines have come and gone and it's not open. And that's all we know. It was signs and fixing guardrails and then they were
Well, basically, listening to you guys, I've never been on this, but it sounds like you get things done in the town, which is not necessarily my experience in West Virginia, but I made the assumption that there was some lawsuits going on with that road because of all the people that have complained about that bypass.
Right.
And I thought that's what it was. So that's why I didn't want to come here having that assumption.
No, it's
No, that's not it.
DOH moves slowly, contractors, concrete,
Everything.
getting them.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yep.
Yes.
So,
thanks for the answer.
all right.
What's your
Thanks for
name,
the
sir?
compliment.
Your
My-
name?
My name?
Uh-huh.
John Kanofsky.
You will spell that?
K-A-N-N-O-F-S-K-Y.
Why did I think your name was Peter? You're Ursula's husband.
I am.
Yes. Wait a minute.
My middle name is Philip. That's
Okay, well,
close.
I'll get that.
All right.
Okay.
Hey, where were you born?
I look like a Peter.
Clearly.
You must spell that name again.
K-A-N-N-O-F-S-K-Y.
Okay, got it. All right.
All right. Now you can speak.
I just wanted to, last week last council meeting 2 weeks ago, I came here to talk about what was going on at the train depot regarding the sewer. And within 3 days, 3 members of city council were at the building, checking on things. So thank you for coming and thank you for getting everything resolved very, very quickly. So I really want to say thank you for that.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to bring up, I guess this would be Public Works Committee, I'm not sure. But the visitor center signs on 522 are still pointing toward the chamber office, and it has been causing a little bit of confusion.
That's DOH.
It's DOH.
Round.
No, they're square. They're the
I mean,
brown.
round.
Yeah, they're brown.
Yeah, DOH put those up.
Okay.
So you should contact them.
Okay.
And that would be the local office that would change them, I believe, and you will probably get fast service from them.
Sounds
Because
good.
they are.
Pretty good.
2027.
Yeah.
That service.
Or you could do DIY at like 2 in the morning.
Yeah, I don't know about all that.
They got somebody, Laura probably has the guys out there.
Yeah, she might. So I just wanted to bring that up because I thought about it. But
Yeah,
thank you all for
Thank
getting
you.
everything resolved.
Thanks, Dustin.
All right. Anything else? If not, I will entertain a common consent to adjourn.
Thank you.
Yeah.